Media transmissions from Earth have polluted the Milky Way galaxy with completely unwatchable content. Fearing these signals will spread beyond our galaxy, Captain S and the 01 Legion have headed to Earth to destroy the source of this woke mind virus.
You guys thought Marvel movies were good at destroying their legacy characters? Check out DC's video games.
I got no pants. No pants in hell. Sing it, Deucey. I got no pants. No pants in hell. Yeah, pal.
I'm a Taylor Swift AI. Are you?
I think that means you're legally no longer allowed to be on the internet because Taylor Swift, if you didn't know, she's clearly the most powerful person on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
She is the leader of the Illuminati. She has more power than
she is the
everybody.
Illuminati.
She unironically,
singularly.
She unironically took down my buddy Zubair on Twitter, like single-handedly. And now he's like, they wrote articles about him. They're talking about him now in Congress.
He's gone. Dude. Like, if I were him, I would if I was the guy who made the Taylor Swift AI nudes and stuff, and the more than nudes. If I was him, I would flee the country. There's nowhere on earth that you're going to be able to escape the hit squads, right? Like,
yeah,
you thought Nintendo was bad. Taylor Swift's lawyers are like MI6 for pop stars or whatever.
I mean, then again, he lives in Canada, so he's already in a broken country. So I don't know if it matters that much.
He's already in a broken country, but this is the Taylor Swift execution squad. They're gonna go extrajudicial and just go over the border, storm them, bring them back, and string them up.
A Muslim unironically getting beheaded by Swifties will be poetic justice, I would say.
It would turn the entire world upside down. Up would be down, black would be white. It would be even more ridiculous than it already is.
You have no idea what's coming. You have no idea what's coming.
I can't. Aren't you guys excited? This is the future. Hope, right here. Obama Swift 24. I know I'll be in the voting polls that day, and we'll lower the voting age. Remember they wanted to lower the voting age to 16 for the last election. There you go. Here you go. This is the perfect tactic. Get all the teenagers who don't know anything and just know Taylor Swift, get them to vote.
Everybody gets a free Tide Pod for voting, right?
Dude, you don't even need to give them Tide Pods at this point. You just need to be like,
give them the great value knockoffs. They don't even get Tide.
Right.
Nobody can afford Tide in this economy.
Yeah, not in this economy. Are you kidding me, dude? You want to talk? Okay, this weekend I was driving around. I was going to go visit a friend, and I got hungry, so I was like, "Oh, I'm going to pull over to Jack in the Box. I'm going to get something to eat." I go to Jack in the Box. I go to the window and I go, "Hey, can I get 3 junior jumbo jacks? The smaller value menu ones?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, come to the window." Blah blah blah. And then when I get to the window, the guy goes, "That was 3 jumbo jacks, right?" And I went, "That wasn't it, but whatever. It's not worth fighting over. I'll pay it's not going to be that much." junior jumbo jacks would have been $6. They're like $2 each.
Mhm.
3 regular jumbo jacks cost me $19. What is happening here? It's just the most basic burger.
It is
and I had
not
to pay,
even a
like,
good burger. That's the problem.
it's really not. It was
Wait.
just the one that was on the freeway. Like, it
If
was there.
Spencer has 3 cheeseburgers from Jack in the Box, but he paid too much for them, how happy is he?
Get your math books out, because the
It's
answer is
a Common
not at
Core
all.
math problem.
Those
Dude,
of you
it's
who
a-
are old enough to remember when Carl's Jr. used to run the ads of the $6 burger, and the entire marketing of that is like, oh, you get a restaurant style burger, but it's only $6, and then like that was the whole thing.
I remember
now,
that.
Now it's gotten so expensive they can't even call it the $6 burger anymore. It's called a thick burger because inflation has like completely killed their marketing campaign.
Dude,
The
who was that? Hey,
Waffle. That's a good one. I like
the
that.
Swift Waffle. I like that. I actually really like that. The Swift Waffle.
Waffle.
Who
Oh,
was that?
man.
Hates Me in HD said that Jack in the Box has been expensive for a minute. I know it has. Like, yeah, it hasn't been cheap for a long time. I know that all fast food, like Jacob said, has been like rising, but I don't eat it that often. I literally only ate it because it was, like I was telling Jacob, it was the only thing around. I just needed something in my gut. But yeah, like, that's crazy. Do you remember? I remember the day it happened when I was in college, when Carl's Jr.'s, like, they had the 99-cent chicken sandwiches, and then they started shrinking them, and then they changed the bun. I wanted to riot. It was like the worst day of my college life. I was living off of those.
All the fast food has unironically like gotten significantly worse as time goes on. Yet somehow it's gotten more expensive. Here's a throwback for you guys. Remember McDonald's had this thing called the Big and Tasty? Remember that whole thing back in the day? Remember how it used to be like $1?
They had like an Arby's meat guy doing the voice.
Yeah.
I really remember that guy.
Big and Tasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Over now.
that used to be cheap. Of all the things, that we see, in our line of work, in our coverage, in just existing as an adult and knowing politics, like, sitting there with my burgers, like, looking at the receipt, that was the first time where I was like, something has to give. Like, Sybil, like, we can't keep living like this. Like, a change needs to happen. Like, we need hope.
We need war.
We need war so that my damn burgers are normal price again.
So somebody needs to be bombed so I can go back to paying $4 for McDonald's burger.
Just pick somebody at this point. At this point, I need my cheap burgers. But with that detour into Swiftyism and fast food, of course, I would like to welcome everybody to another episode of the 01 stream here at Bounding Into Comics. I am your host, editor-in-chief Spencer Bakuli. I am joined by two of my good friends, two of the best guys I know, Jacob of Society Reviews and Cider Hype of Cider Hype. And of course, we have a giant show for you tonight. There is so much to talk about. We are not going to be at a lack for topics. We have Suicide Squad. We have Taylor Swift. We have a bunch of other stuff because I know Jacob picked a lot of the topics tonight, so I know he's going to have a lead on a lot of them. But we have stuff for you tonight, and we are happy to have you guys. We have the meats. We absolutely do.
They're going to cost you $10, but we got them.
Yeah, this stream might be free, but we're going to start charging you $5 now. Inflation's just killing us.
Yeah.
But yes, before we get started, as always, let's say hello to the chat, starting with RJ McCready, who was first tonight, saying the Virgin Suicide Squad kills off an iconic version of an iconic hero in his iconic performer's last role. That Chad RoboCop sees the iconic actor in the iconic role being a badass. Yes, this is true. So what RJ's talking about here is, obviously we'll get into Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It's a disaster. It's awful. But there was a game recently released. I don't remember what the subtitle is, but it was a RoboCop game. It might have just been called RoboCop. But it was like a mid-level sort of developer, a mid-budget developer. Yes, Rogue City. That's what it was. And it wasn't like the best. It had a lot of flaws. Like, it wasn't the most polished because it was not a AAA developer. But that game, you can see the difference between somebody who really cares about the source material. They got Peter Weller back. They made sure that your RoboCop isn't running around like, Master Chief blasting. He moves really slow and, he grabs you by the neck and throws you. There's so much love put into that game compared to Suicide Squad that the differences are stark. This is why, we've talked about it before. I know Jacob's talked about it, especially on his movie nights. We need more mid-budget stuff. These mid-budget experiences, whether it's the film that goes direct to FX network, or it's a game like this where it's just, maybe it's a $40 game. It's not, you don't have zillions of side quests and microtransactions, but guess what? You get a solid experience that makes you walk away from it going, I as a fan, I'm happy. If you guys know, I know both of us or everybody here on the panel knows her, but Cult Classic Cage, she's on all of our streams. She's been on Bounding a couple times, back on the Black Pill stream, but she's a giant RoboCop fan and she loves this game. Like, she will not stop
I
ranting
think
about
Cass is like what, 5'3", giant. Come on.
True. Giant in relativity, but a giant presence, if you will. But yeah, like Cassie is one of it's so rare. I remember when she played the game and she was gushing over it. I remember watching her stream and being like, wow, I don't remember the last time I remember seeing like a fan of something being excited that they got something new from their property, because so often we get the Marvels or we get Suicide Squad,
Suicide
Justice
Squad,
League.
yep.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. Crap. But, and you know what? That game, from what I know, from what I've seen, from all the streams I've watched, it's better than RoboCop 3, which is, I mean, it's a very, very low bar, but it's a better experience. I still like the jetpack. I don't know. Maybe that's the 10-year-old in me.
RoboCop, the animated series, anybody?
Oh, yeah. But the one that lasted for like a season, if that.
As it should have, because who said RoboCop was a good Saturday morning cartoon hero? Who?
Man, that was the day of everything gets a Saturday morning cartoon. If that trend had held, dude, wait, are you talking about the Zeta Project? Because the Zeta Project's incredible.
Boomerang head. Yeah, the robot with
dude,
the boomerang head, the hot chick.
love Zeta. Yeah, yep, that's exactly how I remember it too.
90s AF.
90s AF, the one original DCAU animated series when they were actually trying stuff. Whoa, I loved Zeta. I did like that show. Let's see, what else do we got? We have DZ3 saying hello, everyone, saying kill the Justice League, huh? More like suiciding the DC brand. I've been like, at this point in my reports on it, DZ3, if you go look at everything I've written, I've exhausted all the like DC is committing suicide puns. It's
true.
Every single article features at least like one or two of them, because it's just, I watched everything about this game and I'm just like it hurts like almost on a physical level. Hey, it's me in HD says RJ and DZ, what up's my peeps? And also saying hey to Eccentric, which means we should also say hi to Eccentric. I jumped right over him for hey, it's me in HD. Hey, it's me in HD's comment. But yes, Eccentric, how's it going? I see the new avatar, or the new profile picture, if you will. Volume Dealer saying hello, late people. Yes, we were late by about 2 or 3 minutes. You can blame me. I was writing. I didn't realize how close we were cutting it, and I had to jump on. So yes, direct all your complaints my way.
Stuff. Quite literally, we were going to blame you anyway. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I presumed as much. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Free. Here's your coupon. Everybody blame me. Let's see. Yes, exactly. As Cider says, better late than Batman. Oh gosh, ain't that the truth? Leslie, of course. Hope everyone has fun tonight. Catch y'all next week. Leslie, it's a shame that it's a shame we won't be able to see you tonight. But as always, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you next week. I hope you're okay. I hope you're having fun or whatever is taking you away from the screen. We have Meteor Advocate Timon saying, "Hey-o, everybody. Hey, Spencer. Hey, Jacob. Hey, Cider. And hey, not here, Josh." Yeah, Josh, I know you're out there, Josh. I know you're in the chat. So get your butt in here. All right. The people want you, and we also need our scapegoat. Let's see. Yeah, then we have the Jack in the Box comments. Yeah, exactly, Eccentric. I'm eating that high-priced horse meat. Look, they had me by the cojones. I needed something to eat, and that was the only thing.
Hey, don't talk down on horse meat. Overeem literally had an entire career eating horse meat in the UFC. So
that's actually true. Yeah, right. I'm just trying to follow in his footsteps. I'm going to be the next one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Hey, it's me in HD. Jack used to be my late night go-to. Then I had an experience similar to yours, and I said, this crap ain't worth these prices. It's really not. I remember they also like boosted up the tacos from like 99 cents to $1.99, and I felt like, yeah. It's like that.
In all honesty,
like I felt like the communist Bugs Bunny. I was like, we can't, I can't do this.
In all honesty, guys, it's just much cheaper to just to make your own burgers at home at this point. Because you can pretty much just get like the meat here for like what, $12. Get the bread, get the cheese, get the bacon, all that stuff yourself. You'll have at least 12 burgers that you can enjoy by yourself instead of spending like what. It's like $100-something trying to get that from a fast food place who's using the exact same ingredients anyway.
Not even like the exact same, probably like lower quality if we're being honest, because it's
So
like all
there's
mask
not
and stuff.
there's not even one Jack in the Box in Maine.
No,
Not even
Really?
one.
there's not one
I
here
believe
either.
that.
The closest Jack in the Box here is in Tennessee.
What?
Yeah,
That's crazy. I guess maybe it's like a West Coast thing because they're everywhere over here in Arizona, California, Nevada,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
it's the same thing. Like Carl's Jr. out here is called Hardee's, and then like the closest In-N-Out burger is like all the way in Texas. So yeah,
And that one's
we
new.
had
Like,
an
that
In-N-Out
one just
burger.
opened up.
We had one in the whole state, and then it left so that way Jersey Mike's could open up. See, I got a surgery. One of my surgeries. I was recovering, and I was on my ride home with the guy who was bringing me back, and
yeah.
he wanted to stop and get subs because we're celebrating the survival and whatnot, and I misread Jersey as Jose. So now when I
Jose
think
Mike.
of Jersey Mike's, Jose Mike's comes to my mind first because that's what I called it for like 2 days while I was high on all those post-surgery medicine. It
Right.
was Jose Mike's.
On one hand, that probably applies to all the ones out here in California and Arizona, right?
Jose
They probably are
Mike's,
Jose
yep.
Mike's. But
Hello,
second,
welcome to Jose Mike's.
hey,
How
how's
big
it
of a
going?
sub do you want?
What's ups? But then also I would
What's
eat like a Mexican fusion sub place. I don't know. Sandwiches are delicious. They're like the best vehicle for food. I'm in for any kind of sandwiches. And you
Spoken
throw,
like a true
carne asada.
journalist.
It's easy. I can eat it on the go. I can put the bread in my mouth, right cider, and I can run to class because I'm late.
Except
let's
when a truck
see.
hits you and transports you into another universe.
to another world, right? YouTube me. First of all, what's up, YouTube me? Afternoon. I don't get to make it as often as I would like because of work hours. Unfortunately, only made it today because of financial calls all morning. Hey, we're still happy to see you. I know you haven't been around lately, but that doesn't mean you're not, a member of the team, of the community, and we don't miss you. We don't think of you, and we don't notice when you're gone. So it's nice to see you. Welcome aboard, buddy. Josh is here, but not here. Is he bleeding out? He is he's dealing with some like just health recovery stuff. Nothing serious, just things that make he's taking some like antibiotics that make him drowsy. So by the time we start the stream, he is like holding on for dear life just to show up for like 30
we promise
minutes or
that
an
Josh
hour.
has not been stabbed again. We promise that
Look,
is not
he's
happening.
in Chile, okay? That's all you need to know, all right? That's why
That
he
really
feels the
is-
way he feels. He's in Chile.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, do you know what it's like? Their health system. You go to the doctor. He just got back from the doctor. That's where he's been for these last like 3 months.
Imagine moving from London to avoid being stabbed, and you go to Chile. It's like,
And it's
We
the
got a
first thing
deal
that
for
happens,
you.
like how they say hello to you. Yeah, go.
Well, I just wanted to say, you guys know, you were talking about all this food and stuff, and I just discovered down in Australia, fairy bread is a thing.
That
Fairy
hurts
bread.
like my teeth. Is that just bread with sprinkles on it?
No, it's even worse than that. It's bread with butter and sprinkles,
Oh, that like.
and they
How's
call
that
it
not
fairy
American?
bread.
How's
It's
that
not.
not
It's
American?
Australian.
I know,
Oh.
that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's the
like, it hurts my
strangest thing.
teeth just to think about.
Yeah, fairy bread.
It's better than the British, who literally have bread sandwiches, which
Speaking
is
of
just
fairies,
bread.
Oh.
there she is. Wake up, people. Wake up.
We
no
were
one
quite
save that
literally
one for
talking about-
later.
Oh, trust me, we found one last night that was even far worse than that. I had to put it in the private chat because it was like, oh yeah, we're definitely gonna get yanked if we put this.
It took me a second, but then I saw that thing we're not supposed to show on YouTube there, and I was like, oh,
Wah.
Mhm.
Oopsies. A little
Oopsie-daisy.
behind the scenes for everybody. Into our welcome to our twisted minds. Where was it? Timon says meat plus garlic powder plus onion powder plus paprika plus salt and pepper. Better burger than any franchise. It really is just that simple. You like the way I make burgers, I take the meat, throw in some salt, garlic powder, pepper, mash, just roll it all together. Maybe do onion flakes if I'm feeling like fancy, or like the dried onion flakes or whatever. And then boom, it's delicious. My only issue with like making my own burgers is that I'm lazy. I just like they got me. I'm an American, It's like, you
Look.
bastard. I got to get up. Like, I got to make an effort out of it.
How dare you play to my own laziness?
Your laziness over burgers compares nothing to this laziness.
Oh,
right
man.
here.
Yes. Let's get into this. So, first topic of the night, guys. We have another Daisy Ridley press appearance. So, if you haven't been following either the news or our streams, any of our streams, whether it's Cider over on the Dank, whether it's Jacob over on his bar room, or it's us here on 01, Daisy Ridley has been like out in the press lately. I think she's promoting a new movie called Sometimes I Think About Dying. It's like a romantic drama comedy thing, whatever.
I think we actually mocked that movie unironically like 6 months ago, and now it's actually
I'm sure we did, because that's probably what she felt like after, when she was getting no work after Star Wars, right? But so in service of that movie, she's been making a lot of press appearances. We talked last week about how she ran a massive damage control statement for them, where she basically went, all the sexism accusations from the Star Wars fandom have been overblown. That's never been my experience. And it's like, well, first of all, you have said that, anybody who criticizes Rey as a Mary Sue is sexist. And also, that's not the, for lack of a better term, the log line for the franchise now. The franchise's main selling point at this point might as well be, give us your money to own the incels. Like, that's all they want to do right now. Like, it's outrage marketing at its finest. So we had another bit of sort of damage control, and this one is way more transparent than the last one, right? I could sort of maybe if I'm feeling, friendly and I've had like 2 beers in me, I could maybe go, okay, maybe you never had a bad interaction with a Star Wars fan. I doubt it, because I have proof, but I'm going to let it slide. But this one, it's just on its face. You're like, I can tell this is damage control. So Daisy Ridley recently made an appearance on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast run by Josh Horowitz. It's a pretty popular podcast. Some of you might have heard of it. We cite it a lot. Either way, that's where she was. During that appearance, Horowitz asked her basically, hey, I want to talk to you about there's one specific thing I want to talk about with you about Star Wars, and that's the kiss from the end of Rise of Skywalker. And he said, what was your feeling on it? Did you feel like, when it was about to shoot, were you like, oh yeah, I'm totally on board with this? Or were you like, oh no, this is going to be a disaster? And Ridley essentially came back and said she thinks it felt earned. But it's a very, as we go on to read her, I guess for lack of a better term, defense, you're going to see that it's a little weird. You'll see what I mean. So yeah, here we go. Horowitz asked her, quote, the one specific thing I want to ask about for Rise of Skywalker, where were you on the kiss moment? Were you like, this is going to work? Or were you like, are we really doing this? In turn, Ridley recalled, quote, I think it felt earned.
Nope, we do have a super chat.
We do. And let's see. YouTube me for 10 Australian dollars. Thank you, buddy. It means the world to us. YouTube me says she likely hasn't seen the movie, so she's just thinking that there's something that means that her and Kylo had a meaningful relationship other than wanting to kill each other. I think there's 2 things to address in your comment, YouTube me. One, I actually do agree she probably hasn't seen the movies. I actually probably highly doubt any of the actors that were in these movies have seen them. I think like they all these actors talk about it all the time in all their interviews, whether it's Marvel, DC, or even something like The Gray Man or Argyle. They're like, oh, I haven't watched the film yet. I'm too busy, blah, 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 blah. But as we'll see, YouTube, there is, I don't think this is her sort of trying to force the idea that there was something deeper between them. And that's where the whole weirdness in this defense comes in. And you'll see what I mean when we get into it. So hold me to that and let's get into it. So yeah, there's Ridley. She's appearing on the podcast. And so this was her explanation for the moment. Quote, what was interesting again, I think, is like intentionality. My feeling in that moment was it was a goodbye. So that felt earned, because you could call a kiss 1,000 things, but I felt like it was a goodbye. And that whole scene felt so emotional. And I felt like I was saying goodbye to the job. And so that's basically what she says. She then goes on to talk about like, oh, I was emotional because we were rapping and yada, yada, yada. But this is what I mean when I say that it's weird, because this is such a stretch of a reading, or like a stretch argument. What am I trying to say here? So like, sure, there are very much stories where maybe somebody shares a kiss to say goodbye, or they, it's a thing or a friend thing. There are these situations, they're in stories, but that didn't play out in Star Wars. There was no indication of any of that between these two until this moment. Up until this moment, it was all join me. No, I don't want to join you. Join me. No, I don't want to join you. So this to me, her trying to say it was a goodbye and not a romantic thing. I'm of the opinion that everything in that movie was included by JJ because it was all damage control. And I know you guys have, this isn't the kiss. If you wanted to give like a platonic kiss to a friend, say like goodbye, this isn't really it. We've seen it in movies before. It would be more gentle. Maybe it would be on the cheek, but this like staring into your eyes and then like gripping your cheek.
This is the thing. So watch her body language, okay? Just watch her as she goes in for this, right? She's retracting her neck back immediately, right? Like she's like turtling into her shoulders as he's kissing. Like he seems to be like shoving her head down into her torso, kissing her, but she's retracting. Now, what I want to point out to you is that, when you're like a teenager or whatever, and you're kissing a girl either for the first time or you've got a new girlfriend and you're just learning how to kiss her, right?
Yeah.
This is what it usually looks like when you guys get up on each other and your noses are a little cold hitting each other's cheek. And you're like, oh, geez, this is what it's like to kiss you. Or, oh, gosh, my lips feel really dry right now. This is not a happy kiss is what I'm trying to tell you. This is a very afraid, uncomfortable, new kiss. Like if they rehearsed this, it was definitely with like a mango melon in their room alone.
Oh, yeah. This was not like rehearsed between the actors. So ever since
Jedi mono, yeah, you're right.
So Cider, ever since we went through the that Echo scene with Daredevil, and you were pointing out like there's the cues and all that stuff. When I see these GIFs and things on Twitter now, I am in that mindset of like, oh, there's no sound, so it's kind of like I am on set watching it being filmed. It just feels so unnatural. It feels like Daisy's waiting for them to say go. Like go for the kiss now, instead of any sort of like feel the moment and act in it. Like right here, go. She's waiting. It's so
weird. Scene.
Right, exactly.
Like JJ behind the camera, and he's like, "Okay, film's rolling. Losing daylight, guys.
What are we doing?" But yeah, so like with everything in this film, it's so bad. It's so nonsensical. I genuinely feel everything in this film is included by JJ in some desperate attempt to be like, this is what you wanted, right? Don't you like this? Don't you, member berries, I don't know what you would really call it, but like theory confirming berries, like with the Raylo
service.
kids.
No, it's fan service.
No, I think that's the right way. I think that's the right way to put it. But it's the bad fan service where that's all it is. The substance is the, this thing. Remember this? Leia has a lightsaber. Isn't that cool? Remember Lando? Hey, remember in Avengers when all the Avengers showed up? Well, here's a fleet of
AT-XT.
It's literally that. And it's just like, so that's why to me, so to YouTube me's point, I'm going to scroll back up to it. While I bet she probably hasn't seen the movies, to me, this feels more like damage control. She's going, oh, nobody liked that. I recognize everybody liked that, but I also can't, openly go out and crap on the thing, because whether it's because I genuinely like it or I just agree with my employers or some contract thing, whatever. But to me, this, like everything JJ did in that movie was, please like me, please clap, please clap. So this to me just feels like she's trying to backpedal. She's doing more work to save the face of the Star Wars franchise than anybody has in.
It's very, very simple here. She's the only one they brought back. So they said, "You want $13 million, don't you?"
No, dude, it probably wasn't even that high. It was, you want a job, don't you? Like you just want a chance to have a career again, don't you? Like you want another role. Like that's what it felt like to me.
Like you go out there, you tell them that movie was good.
I told you, he's here. He's living. He's right there. Hello, Josh. Eccentric Banana asks, what has she done outside of Star Wars? She did that awful Chaos Walking film with Tom Holland. She did The Marsh King's Daughter, which I know Jacob really liked. It's been on my list ever since he recommended it. Sorry. Yeah.
I unironically called it the best movie that she's ever been in, because it's literally the best movie she's ever been in.
So it was that the new movie I talked about at the start, the Sometimes I Feel Like Dying, and an audiobook series for like some random British like minor author. It was a really because I remember writing a Bounding thing and I'm like, oh, let's go see what Ridley's done. She's done that's it, an audiobook since Rise of Skywalker, and I was just like, that's not great. Let's see. Guy Gadboy says, could Daisy go back to talk about hamburgers?
Exactly. What? Hey, here's the best way to describe Daisy Ridley's career. Imagine waking up and your alarm is MIA's Paper Planes, and then every time you get up and you hear the song, you start crying as you get out of bed. Like, that's pretty much her career.
It really is kind of her career. There was a moment where, or where was this? It was in. She gave an interview recently, I think, to like Variety or one of the big trades, and she was talking. They asked her like, "Oh, what was it like when you got the news that you were going to be Rey again? What was it like being back in that miasma or that environment?" And she tells a story about how she went home and she told her mom, like, "Guess what? I'm going to be Rey. I'm going to be in Star Wars again." And her mom's reaction was, and this is not. Well, that's what it is. She essentially reacted, and this is not verbatim, it's to the best of my recollection, but she went, "What? You're gonna do you want to go through all of that again?" And the publication tried to play it off as like what? You want to go through the craziness of shooting a movie again? And it's like, that's not what she's saying. That is very clearly not what she's saying. She's saying, Daisy, do you really want to have to eat, faceplant again in front of?
Can you imagine how many private conversations I had with like Daisy's like crying to her mother about being a part of this whole Star Wars universe, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Hey, I'm going back." Like, why would you?
And her mom's like, "What? Well, then what am I doing here?" She's like, "I thought we were out of this phase when you stopped being a teenager, but oh no." Let's see. I saw something. Oh, there's Josh saying they're both sweaty and probably smell bad. Leave it to Jar Jar Abrams to ruin a kiss. Do they even have dental floss in that galaxy far, far away? Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. See, don't be that guy. Don't be like, "Where's the floss? Where's the Jedi dentist?" Right? Because then that's when we start getting, series like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where we just follow things that nobody really cares about, or we get Loki or Moon Knight. Like, it's okay to just be like, yeah, they're maybe the midichlorians cleaner.
Wasn't the whole point of like the Han Solo movie is like, well, what happened during the Castle Run? Wasn't that literally the entire point?
The entire point of that movie was, it was origin stories for his stuff. Like, that's all Hollywood does anymore. To like that member berries point, that fan service point, Hollywood thinks now that what people want to see is how did you get your super suit? How did you get your iconic catchphrase? In Solo, Han gets his name, his ship, his stupid dice that Disney retconned into being important, his gun, his best friend, he does the Kessel Run, he gets his attitude, he gets his vest. And that movie's all that's not a movie. And that's what the D&D guys, the Game of Thrones guys, when they came out a couple weeks ago and they were like, "Here's what we were going to do for our Star Wars project." They were saying, "Oh, we were going to explore the very first Jedi Order, and we were going to show how, the first Force-sensitive person and how the first lightsaber came to be." And it's just like, can we not have a little mystery or a little imagine? Like, we don't need. This is so boring. It's not creative. Yeah, nope. I didn't know the Millennium Falcon's dices were a thing until the Disney sequels. Were they like? I don't remember them being in anything. I remember watching.
Let me throw you the origin of this problem. At least as far back as I can push it back to where it became a really corporate effort. Enterprise from CBS, the story of the very first Federation starship, Enterprise, that went out there with Captain Archer. I can think of exactly 0 people who wanted that story. Furthermore, I can think of exactly 0 people who were happy with that being the first outing for that captain and what that starship looked like and what it did.
Right.
Okay. So again, it compiled from there where they went to 2009 Star Trek and they were like, where did Captain Kirk and Spock got their very unique relationship? You know,
Where did it all
rather
start?
than just saying like, you know who these guys wearing gold, blue, and red are.
Right,
You know
right.
what they do. So let's send them on an adventure that you would expect to see them on. No, we're not going to do that. Spock's
No.
a time traveling asshole that gets his planet destroyed because of all of his time traveling shenanigans. And Kirk is a dick. He's just a dick.
I
He eats an
recently watched those.
apple to prove he's a dick.
He does do the apple eating thing, dude. I recently watched those movies because I was writing an article and I was getting images and I was like, man, these movies do look good. Like I remember, like they look impressive, like they're fun to watch. So I was like, I'm gonna throw it on. I watched the first two and I was just like, oh, that's why I don't watch these ones anymore. Because
much like your Jack in the Box food, it's very expensive. It looks flashy, but it ends up in the toilet pretty quick.
In the exact same form. Amen. Oh man, what was I gonna say? Where was the comment? Oh, right here. DZ3 says, look, you guys are just making me feel bad for her. Yes, there's a small aspect where you can feel bad for her, but at the same time, she agreed to go to Disney. She agreed to come back. I would be, if this was like her on the press tour for Rise of Skywalker, where it was her first contract and she was locked into it and she didn't really have a choice, different story. I'd be a little more sympathetic. But when you willingly go, okay, I will go back to this franchise, and you know, like what its reputation currently is, that's the thing. She could have not watched the movie. She could have not engaged with any of the shows or the media or whatever, but there's no way you, as somebody on this planet, you can avoid Star Wars discourse. It's everywhere. Everybody has an opinion on it because Disney completely screwed the pooch. Like, so she's got to know that it's not the best move. She's got to know it's a desperate thing. You know, I'm not going to rail on her and say she's a terrible person, but I'm also just going to go, you kind of did that to yourself.
Here's the thing. Remember the Daisy Ridley audition tape from years ago? This is before she was officially cast as Rey, and you just have this young, naive girl, barely just turned 20 years old, and she's in this whole thing. She thinks to herself, maybe one day I'll be in a Star Wars movie, and then it's like he had no idea like where this road was gonna go like 10 years later. So you just feel like now you're on the other side of it. It's almost like it's like a jaded police officer who's just trying to get his pension at the end of the day. He's like doesn't even care anymore.
He's like, just give me my money. I'm 2 days from retirement. I don't care anymore. I think about that a lot. Like how awful for Adam Driver, what's his name? John Boyega, even like what's the redheaded guy who was the general, like just pretty much anybody in those films. I feel really bad because imagine getting that opportunity. Like, okay, you're going to be in a Star Wars movie. You have Disney backing behind it now. Star Wars is a giant IP. You guys are at the top. Like, this is going to be great for your careers. Everybody's going to love it. And you go, oh, this is amazing. I can't believe I'm about to lead Star Wars. And then they do what they do. Like, it feels so, like, we feel
everyone
bad.
who has been in the Star Wars, the Disney trilogy, looks back at Star Wars and all of a sudden they just hear like flashbacks going on in the background. And it is like, I want nothing to do with this ever again.
Oh, man. That, like, it's not specifically Star Wars, but that reminds me, like Marvel is going through that right now because you had Steven Yeun, who was supposed to be Sentry in Thunderbolts. He left the project and he said, oh, it was scheduling differences, blah, blah, blah. And then today you had what's her name? Ayo Adabi. She's the lead actress in that Bear show, the one on FX about the restaurant or whatever. She just won like a Golden Globe Golden Globe for being in it. But she was supposed to be in Thunderbolts, and she just announced yesterday, oh, I got scheduled conflicts. I can't be in the movie anymore. And I'm just like, you guys, like, I know what you're doing.
It's a common theme now because even like it spread to the MCU now, where all of these productions, like the production and the filming process is so hectic and so bad now that they're having to reshoot like entire series, entire movies now because the quality of it is just absolutely awful. So it's like the magic of, oh, maybe I'll be in the scene with Thor, maybe I'll be in the scene with Iron Man, like that whole thing is like gone. That whole thing's dead now. So now you just got these people who are like sitting there reading the script and it's like, what, you want me to do what now? Like, is this where it's come down to? It's like,
it's not even just like the script quality. It's what you touched upon at the beginning. It's like, this is back in the day, you would commit to like a 3-month shooting schedule. Then you could go do other projects. And maybe if all things went wrong, you would have to come back for like a day or two of reshoots. And often you couldn't come back. So, we've seen it in, like every 80s movie where you have the very like clear stunt double with a wig that doesn't look anything like them, and you shoot them from the back or whatever. Like that's how this used to go down. Nowadays, it's like, okay, you come in, you sign on for we say is going to be 2 months of shooting, but we also reserve the right to call your ass back at any time in the next like 13 years. Like at any moment, you're going to have to come back and you're going to have to do this.
You're going to need to do 4 months of reshoots.
Right, exactly. And so it's like, why would I want to attach myself to that, especially when it's not like this is just a product. It's not going to be good.
Another thing that was just confirmed, Seth Rollins, WWE champion currently, was supposed to be in the Captain America movie. They have now confirmed that his role has been cut entirely due to the
No
reshoots.
way.
So he will now not be in the Captain America movie.
That movie's shaping up to be such a disaster. Have you guys seen the suit like preview, or I don't want to call it leaks? It's just like a better shot of Sam's suit.
No.
So they
where did those come from?
I think they're like toy box art or whatever. Where is it? Here we go. I'll just shoot it over in the back cider if you want to pull it up, or if you guys just want to look at it. But it makes me laugh really hard because one, it looks really bad, and two, they went through all the trouble of Falcon and the Winter Soldier to introduce that really awful like condom head costume, and then they just abandoned it. And then if you look at why, it's because there was a VFX artist talking on Twitter the other day. He's like, the reason we had to cut Sam's white suit from the end of Falcon was because it was too expensive. Because that cowl, when Sam puts it on, it has like, it opens up at its cheeks because it's not fit to his head. So they would have to go in every scene and, like blur it, stick it to his face with CG. And they're like, it's too expensive. So now they have a cowlless suit, which is just like, this sucks. I don't know. Like, I'm not angry at it. It's just, it's Chris Evans' suit with wings. And it's just like, I don't know. This is lame. This is what you're doing reshoots for. How am I supposed to be excited?
At least they tried in the comics not to make him look like a direct Captain America ripoff. But now they
have to say too. Right.
But now it's like he's like
straight up. Sam is Cap too. He's also a Cap. He's an equally valid Cap. You should call him Captain America. By the way, remember the old Captain America? We're gonna make him look exactly like him. Like this movie's gonna.
But here's the problem. This is the fundamental problem with this movie, and we've talked about this many times before, is that the people at Marvel have gaslit themselves over the course of the last 10, 15 years to think that all of these diversity characters that their fans have told them for the last 10 years they do not like, and that none of these characters are actually good. They gaslit themselves to be like, oh no, these characters are super good. We're selling out on all the Amazon lists. It's only the racist misogynists who don't like these characters. So now they're bringing them up to the movie, the big screen, and they realize, oh wait, there actually isn't an audience for this crap because we've told you over the last 10 years that we didn't want this. And now they're starting to accept. It's like, oh, I guess they really didn't want this.
Someone went and drew the picture out here, so this is an artist's estimation.
That's just like the Age of Ultron suit, Chris Evans' Age of Ultron suit.
Yeah, so this is their art. This is their estimation based off that toy. So this is a better. So they think he's going to keep his goggles. Here, that's what they think is going to happen, and he's going to get like the wing treatment around the chest here.
Oh
that his wings will like sort of emulate when he's got it all spread out, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
So it'll look like the wings are going out on, from the star, But
then, like, just look at all those MCU lines, and it's just so over designed.
And the other thing is like, and I'm not trying to sound dumb or anything, but there's no way to put this. I'm sorry, but his complexion does not suit dark navy blue. You lose a lot of Anthony Mackie there. I'm very sorry. I don't mean to be mean, but when he has the white reflecting up onto his face, more of his facial features are clear. Whereas with the dark blue, he's just a wash from the chin down. It's just suit from the chin down.
I think that's a really good point. I think that's what's bugging me.
I'm sorry.
It's just my brain.
Me.
Nothing to be sorry. That it's the costume designers who screwed up. They should have known this. They should have been like, oh, maybe we just tamper it down. Maybe we just take away the hood. Why didn't they just do that? Like, if they had to get rid of it.
Look what happens over here with this, right? You see, look at how much more of his face. Like, granted, the lighting's different than on the picture, right? But here we'll go. I'll find that that picture you had here. So you see again, like it just the darkness. You just lose so much of his features with that navy blue versus
it all
the
sort
white
of like
right there.
like you said, like it blends together and it just becomes like a solid block. And you're just like, there's nothing. Okay, it's a guy. Like I can see it's a guy.
That's just me.
They just should have kept the colors. It would have been so easy. Let's see. Volume Dealer says the problem with him being Cap is that his powers is meant to be a sidekick. He is very effective in some situations, but he doesn't have the super strength. I don't necessarily think that means he has to be a sidekick per se. Like you're a guy who flies, and in the MCU they gave him guns. You can do a lot with that, right? It's just don't make him Cap because Cap's already a character. The only reason Falcon Cap even exists is because of Marvel now and Marvel wanting to go diversity. Oh, and by the way, the original Captain America is a Nazi.
Yeah.
There's no genuine,
by the way, we're not even going to try
that.
to do Asian Hulk either, so don't even ask us for that.
Man, like speaking of like Asian Hulk, you reminded me of like the Teenage Heroes. Ironheart is still coming. They're like the
it was already shot, like, and then they realized it was horrible.
Please sync it, and this is happening still too. So this one comes from our very own JB. Not a lot to the story aside from the headline, which you see on the tin is what you get. J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates' POC Superman project is still alive, according to James Gunn, which just who wants this? And also, doesn't this conflict with all of your DC plans that you've been telling us you have? Like, is this going to be included? Is this one of your stupid Elseworlds things that you're going to do, like Joker? The long short of this story in particular is I don't know what's going on over there anymore. DC is, as we know, in a giant pit of creativity right now between all their rebooting, the fact that they don't know if they're going to continue their animated films, which, like, if any of you guys have checked any of those out over the last like decade or two, a lot of them are misses, but more of them are hits, and they're like the only good refuge for DC stories now. And they're going, nope, we're done with that. We don't want to talk about that anymore. So, oh, look at JJ. Why? Like, when was last time he even made a movie?
This is basically this is basically like the equivalent of like sitting down with your child for like 3 hours to convince them not to stick a fork in the electrical socket, and then when you finally think that you've come to an understanding and you leave the room, they immediately stick a fork in the electrical socket. It's
Sucker.
like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Right. No, that it's really what it is. It's like you were saying about like the comics. Like, we told you we don't like this stuff. We don't stop trying to make fetch happen. Right. Mm-hmm. That's all this is. They are trying to force like all these characters.
Stop gaslighting us.
Stop gaslighting us. It really is. No. Oh, these are the most powerful, important characters in all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's like, no, they're not. Nobody thinks Shang-Chi is like, even a Shang-Chi fan doesn't think that they're like the most important everything. I mean, when doesn't he? He always looks like that eccentric. He always looks like, well, you see, it was special ink that couldn't be read or scanned by a photocopier. That was what was on the script. Like, I can't stand J.J. Abrams at all. Look, that disgusting con artist. And he keeps getting cons, but that's what I was like asking a second ago. What has he made since Rise of Skywalker? I feel like everything I've heard, it just gets canceled. Justice League Dark got canceled. Star Trek is a mess where he announced one project. Nobody knew it was coming. It still hasn't had any progress made on it. And they're making another, like, that's all a mess.
Well, apparently 2022, Lou was his last movie. And there's everything under the sun coming up.
2 movies since Rise of Skywalker? Like, all right.
Well, this is what it is on his official internet.
Oh, no, I believe it. No, I believe you. What I'm saying is like, all right, you're definitely grifting. Like, somebody's doing something here.
Right here.
Oh, of course he was on Lovecraft Country.
And then here's the thing: it's very, easy to forget with all the Star Wars talk that J.J. Abrams was never meant to actually direct the final Star Wars movie.
No.
Like, it was, he came in as a "please save us. This whole thing has gone completely off the rails" job here, and that's really the whole reason why he even did 2 out of the 3 movies to begin with. Like, in all honesty, look, as much as crap as we've given J.J. Abrams, if they had just made the call from the jump that he was going to direct all 3 movies from the very beginning, it probably would have been far more coherent than what we actually got. I think the idea of having 3 different directors do 3 different parts of the same story it was a totally stupid idea from the jump.
Well, you could have, if you wanted to have all different directors, you could have them be different directors as long as they had a coherent story outline or script that they were going to follow. The fact that they just went, all right, we're going to make a trilogy. Here's film 1. Now let's write film 2. Now let's see where this is going to go. Let the characters tell us where they're going to go. Like, that screwed them over, because now that lets, when that happens, when you say, do it however you want to do it, that lets the, Rian Johnson or J.J. Abrams or whoever, they go, okay, well, my take on it would be this, and I can do what I want. So we're going to, make Luke a crybaby. We're going to space Monaco it. We're going to ruin everything else. So it's just, it's the factory lining of everything, right? Because instead of sitting down and going, I'm going to write this story out, this is what I want to do. Hey, editors, come over here. Hey, maybe I talk to George or whatever. Instead of doing any of that, it's just, you get me a script as soon as you can, then you direct it, you edit it, and now you're writing the next script. You're directing, you're editing it. So that I remember Disney's original release plan for Star Wars was like, what, 2 movies every year? They wanted to just pump this crap out for marketing. I knew from the second they made that announcement, like, that to me was the Alderaan being blown up moment. The thousands of voices cried out in pain and then were silenced. Because I was like, if your goal is just make these many movies a year, it's going to get to the point where you're just pumping them out to pump them out. You're no longer caring about, is it going to do anything for the story? Is it going to get us any goodwill with fans? No, it'll get you box office. Like, I was thinking about that last night. Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, they remain in like the top 10, I think, at least top 20 box offices of all time. So a lot of people go, oh, look at what a success that was. Oh, that was so great. We got it. Like, recreate that. But that was people, I don't know, like for Last Jedi, that was people who just didn't know what was coming. And then Rise of Skywalker was sort of like, well, we don't know what's coming and we got to close it out. What more can we do? These aren't like business strategies that you should be trying to emulate. These are ones that you should be looking at and going, whoa, no, absolutely not. Like we need to be smart about this. And I mean, it's Hollywood, so of course nobody's going to be smart. That's why we're getting like all the Mattel cinematic universe stuff going on, but that's where we are, right?
Well, I mean, Guy Gadbois, maybe
Icon.
Whatever. He asked about Icon, and the reason why they won't do Icon is, and I saw another chatter say it's because they only use names that are recognizable. I don't know. The Creature Commandos aren't really on top of Google's superhero team list, but let me tell you, Icon will never be brought into this iteration of DC. So long as BlackRock is commanding the DEI requirements, he can't be brought in. While being a black superhero with a mirrored history to Superman, Icon is a conservative lawyer character. He was brought up during slave times. He's semi-immortal, and he has sort of a global, not a globalist, but he has a global idea of the world, that the good he does has a ripple effect. And they will not allow that character to exist because Icon pushes back against the narrative that being black makes you different. That's what he pushes back against.
That being black makes you different, and that being black automatically makes you a victim. Because
that was the other thing about him. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I jumped ahead of you. My bad. But yeah, it's like,
no, you got it.
You said, he's a lawyer. He is a respected hero in the Icon universe. Even in all of the other very few appearances he makes, like in Young Justice, he's a very respected hero by everybody else, and it's never about BLM protests like Static Shock or whatever. It's just he had he's a human being. He had a life circumstance. He grew up, and here we are. Miles, or go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, hey, it's me and HD says, man, a milestone universe of films and TV would be a killer. Yeah, here's the biggest thing I never understood. DC has their own Spider-Man with Static Shock. Virgil Hawkins is their Spider-Man. He does everything Peter Parker does. He just does it with lightning and a trash can surfboard that he flies around on. So he's cool too. He's quippy, he's cool, he's smart, all this other jazz. And they won't use him. They won't touch that character with a 10-foot pole. And I don't understand, other than licensing, is the only thing I can figure that somewhere in there, somebody from Milestone will get paid if they do anything with that character. They will not let that happen.
No money goes to Dwayne McDuffie. Absolutely not. His family will not see a dime from any of this.
Right.
I mean, that's probably for the better because, again, like they've already retconned Static. Static is now, his origin is tied to BLM protests and defunding the police and all that. So knowing that, I don't remember the last time, unfortunately, that a major comic book publisher sort of went back on a big change like that. Maybe in Batman Superman Battle of the Super Sons, where they actually had Superman say truth, justice, in the American way after like 6 months before they were like, no, we're cutting that out because we're stupid. So like in light of that, I just know that anything going forward is either going to be directly tied, like anything Static related going forward is going to be tied to all the ideology, the Marxism, the identity politics, all of that stuff, or like and if it's not tied directly to like the stuff in this moment, like BLM, it's going to be constantly updated to be whatever the new movement is, right? Like you would have it now, it would be a Free Palestine rally. You do it in 2 years, it's going to be a rally against or like a protest against Trump winning in 2024. Like that's how uncreative they are, and that's what happens when you turn these characters into political vehicles. Now you have to keep updating them to keep them relevant, and it loses all of it, and it's just awful. Let's see. Where was that? Henry Thrun says, stop interrupting. I will not. I will continue doing it, as is my God-given right. Yes, exactly. God forbid a black man get paid. It's not even like a black man issue. It's the fact that these studios, these publishers don't want to pay out any amount of money to absolutely anyone, no matter how successful they make them, right? The best example that I always raise is Peter David, one of the best comic book writers probably of his generation, of the last generation. He he created Joe Fixit. He created Spider-Man 2099. And despite Across the Spider-Verse going on to be this huge, I don't want to say phenomenon, but like a hit at the box office, he didn't see a dime. Even though Miguel is the main character, he didn't see a dime. And he's currently GoFunding dialysis. Like that's how bad these corporations are. And that's why, me and Cider are like, yeah, of course that's why they're dodging around Static, because there's probably something in there that says Dwayne McDuffie gets a nickel every time you make a project, and they go, no way, absolutely not that's going to hurt our bottom line by 10 cents. Let's see, right? Multi-billion-dollar companies that are incestuous with the government don't want to pay people. I'm shocked.
Right. What a surprise.
I know, never heard of that one before. Guy Gadboy says maybe Steel 2 as a sequel to Shaquille O'Neal's bellwether performance in Steel. Only if you actually get him back, I would be in for that movie.
and the thing is I love that movie.
I do too.
So many times it broke the tape. Okay, I love that movie.
Yes,
if they do a direct sequel to that, a direct continuation, that they got the director back, they got the writer back, the whole creative team, I am down for Steel 2. Even if he passes the powers on to a Michael B. Jordan character who's all sass and swag, I'm still down.
The inference is that we're bringing Shaq
swag of
back,
a black
right?
team.
That's all. I really
yeah.
care
Oh
about.
yeah. No, absolutely. He's got to be. If no Shaq, not coming back. Let's put it that way. All right,
man, that would be great. That would be great, right? Like he's tired, he's old, he's kind of grizzled, like the Samaritan was.
Yeah,
some people have
that's
died,
what I was thinking too.
And like Michael B. Jordan's character's a fan of him, and he's like, "You're Steel? John Henry Irons is Steel this whole time?
I want to be you."
Exactly. And you got Michael B. Jordan like, let me put on the suit. And he's like, Shaq's like 2 feet taller than him, right? And he's like,
Yeah.
bro, you're gonna put the suit on, it don't fit. He's gonna say it don't fit. He's gonna hand him the hammer, and he's gonna be like, oh, whoa, fall over. It would be great.
Fall over. That's what I was gonna say. Dude, that's like classic, like comic book, like or that reminds me of like the scene in Big Hero 6 when they're getting their like gear and they're like trying to test it out and they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. I would be 100% in for that. But like, yeah, bring back everybody. I don't want like a new Steel film. I don't want you to try and make, Batman v Superman Steel. I just want that Steel back. Bring him back.
Yeah, you got Michael B. Jordan can play the little cousin that's all grown up that wanted to follow Shaquille O'Neal's Steel all around.
I totally forgot about that kid. Yeah, there you go.
Together.
Linked. But that multiverse probably doesn't exist anymore. It probably got smashed around in the Flash. Let's put it that way.
That's true. Yeah, it was one of the ones he destroyed.
Oh, I want that so bad now. Let's see. Henry Thrun says, I never watched Black Lightning, but happened upon it while flipping channels. It was right when a white cop was yelling, get your black ass down. The few seconds I saw were pushing the narrative. Yep. So, yes, Black Lightning's weird. Go ahead, Jacob.
I was just going to say, imagine flipping the channels and like literally the first line of the show you hear is, get your black ass down. It's like, click.
That's literally, like that's all productions now, because every show has to be about, bad white cops, everybody. No, I was, or go ahead, Cider. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask, did you make it deep enough into Supergirl's story where they started Jimmy Olsen, Black Jimmy Olsen became a superhero, and then they started like hunting him down? The cops had him cornered in a parking garage once.
It was like, you guys are trying so hard to force.
Did he also yell that I can't breathe? Because that's another classic show you have to include as well.
No, the show was canceled way before that ever happened.
They were trying for it. They were going for the Trayvon Martin situation.
Yeah, that's what they were.
And didn't do nothing wrong,
Trayvon and the what's the other? The girl, Breonna Taylor. That's the one that they always.
Did Breonna happen before 2020 or was she after?
She was before 2020.
After. Okay. No, I think Breonna Taylor was after.
Yeah, I want to say she was after.
It was like shortly after George Floyd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I want to say
Taylor. 2020 on the dot, March 2020. So
all right.
we all cut the middle there.
Jimmy was more Trayvon Martin though. They were really trying to.
If you go watch that show, it definitely starts that way. Or not. Sorry, that's my next point. But yes, that's what happens with Jimmy's arc. But with Black Lightning, Henry. So yes, that is how the show eventually devolved into your generic. Oh, everybody is all cops bad, all minorities good, blah 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 blah. In the beginning, it was actually interesting. And I know I talked about this with John Trent ages ago when the show started. Black Lightning is sort of in the vein of Icon, like Cider was describing. He's not hyper conservative, but he believes in he supports the police. He believes in getting a good education. He doesn't want, his daughters hanging around in the hood or whatever.
He hasn't joined the Nation of Islam.
Right, exactly. He has no idea. He has no idea about the holy math. But so that's how and so in the beginning of that show, he was very much like a Law and Order, like I'm on the side of cops, and he would run into police and maybe they would go, hey, get down or whatever, but he would walk away and go that was either my fault or they're confused, or maybe they were genuinely bad, but that's no reason to harangue the entire institution. And then in typical CW fashion, I think that lasted maybe half a season. And then it just, once it shifted focus to his daughters, then it started becoming all about, lenient prison sentences and Yahoo and all that sort of fun stuff. Right here, white man never really have to promote themselves so they can keep relevant in this industry. This is the producer of Black Lightning. This was the mentality that was going in to it. And this is one of those cases where you can sort of see the clash between what the mindset these characters were originally created with, what they originally were, and what modern Hollywood liberal arts graduates think of the world. Because a lot of these characters, probably mostly all of them, if you go to Milestone, if you go to all these things, you don't get the generic, oh, I'm a thug, the police got me sort of origin stories. Icon's a lawyer. Static was he was involved with the gang, but he was sort of there. The point was showing the bad effects of gangs on them. It was sort of stuff like that. Nowadays, they don't see him as almost human, but rather like, you have to be suffering. You have to be a prop. You can't exist as a person. You're not valid, essentially, unless you are, unless your, circumstances, existence, your situation can be used to promote my narrative. You don't exist to me. And that's what they're going to keep doing. That's why all of our characters keep getting changed. That's why everybody just keeps getting farted on, because they don't understand anything past, like, they buy into, for lack of a better term, the propaganda that's fed to them by, the comic book writers, the major news corps, everybody, everybody who steals is just down on their luck, right? Like, it's that. And, no, that's not true at all. But that's the sort of narrative they're all believing, because, it sounds good. It makes everybody sound better. Like, not just the people, but like the criminals too. It makes them sound less criminal than they really are. It makes it sound like everybody's just desperate.
if they were serious about this, they could have put together the Power Company and put together at least one Power Company movie by now that would have been Josiah Power, Mr. Terrific, Steel, Black Lightning, and Static Shock. You got 5 solid characters from 5 very different backgrounds. And guess what? Season 2, Icon joins the team. So now you have like an incredibly diverse background of Black representation characters that come from every walk of life America has to offer.
Ugh,
no, they won't. They're not.
But you can't have that.
No,
they want it. To me, at least, I'm gonna go slightly into my tinfoil with a theory over here. To me, I see all of this messaging where, you have to always be victimized. You have to always be, downtrodden. Everybody always has to be against you. You as a Black person are always a victim, or whatever minority. To me, that just feels like they're trying to condition you to think that way, so that you don't, for lack of a term, get uppity. They don't want you thinking that you can advance in life or be anything. They want you hating yourself, hating everybody else, and not threatening their positions, right? Like, I know that every time I curve into this, it always starts sounding really communist, because it really is like a class issue. But I'm not talking about like seizing the means of productions. I mean those rich bastards above us who just keep farting on us and just keep stamping on us. The Nancys of the world, the McConnells, the Bill Gates, all of these people, right? Like, they don't care about us as long as Nancy's Roblox stock goes a cent higher today. Like, it's so it's so awful.
Speaking of not caring about us,
who doesn't care about us? Could it possibly be Hasbro? So yes. If in case you guys didn't catch this, I just published this before we went live. It broke earlier this morning. So apparently, word on the street is Hasbro is looking to sell the Dungeons and Dragons IP. So for those of you who aren't aware of what's going on over at Hasbro right now, their finances are in the toilet, essentially. And so I sort of pointed this out in the article if you want the deep dive, but a quick, too long didn't read, is up until 2019. In 2019, they hit their highest like stock price ever, around 120 bucks. And throughout the year, they were able to hold above 90, right? Whether even with dips, it would go to 90, up to 100, maybe to 90 again, 92, whatever, but they were solid. Then the pandemic hits, and every single company on the planet took a big stock hit because of the crash. So they drop, boom, 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 boom. They, over the next year or two, so 2020, 2021, they slowly start recovering. They're able to go, actually, just within the 7 months after the crash in March of 2020, they were already back to $90, and they were hovering there. Calendar flips over to 2021, everything starts dropping very steadily. You can see it on their charts, just constant down, to the point where their stock is currently at $55 that was before I did the refresh. $48 approximately for their stock right now, which again, that's
there it is,
down from a high of 100 of 128. Yeah, there it is, 48.95. You know, down from that high of 123. This is catastrophic for pretty much any company. Even Disney didn't fall this hard, right? Like Disney's falling, but like this percentage, if we worked it out, Hasbro's eating crow. Now, nobody's really coming out of Hasbro and saying this is why it's happening. Wall Street has, there have been a bunch of Wall Street articles out of like MSNBC and the Motley Fool and everything, Seeking Alpha.
Well, hold on, Spencer. Before we get too far into this, we see this chart right here, okay? And I just want to make sure, because this is very important that we notice this. This dip in late 2023 into 24 is deeper than the pandemic dip, okay?
Yeah, guys, notice that.
They're hurting worse than they were when you were shut up in your house, okay? When you weren't allowed to go places and buy their stuff, when people couldn't deliver it to you. This is worse than that right now.
And so like what that tells me, Cider, at least just from like a cursory observation, is that obviously we all got locked inside. So what better time for people to start buying, board games or magic cards? Sure, start buying Transformers. Maybe they start getting back into Power Rangers now that they have time. But I know. Two people probably did it. Did it. But yeah. So after that, I think there's no other. There's no war. There's no other pandemic to justify that drop. That's pure. That's just pure what is it, like bad business. That's bad business practices. It's failing business. It's making every wrong move you could possibly make in the book, right? And we know that they have been making these really awful moves in recent years. And actually it's been probably over the last 2 or 3 years, probably post 2021 2020, that we've really seen them kick into overdrive with how stupid their handling of the franchise has been, right? We've seen like the overall big thing is that they've basically given all the power over their product to the terminally online outraged neoliberals, right? If you see something that's offensive, changed immediately, does not matter. We've seen cards, complete cards banned from play because oh no, they could have, the most disingenuous interpretation of what the card could be read as racist. The one I always think of, because I used to use it in a deck, is there is a card called Cleanse, which is a white card. And if you throw it down, the card text says, destroy all black creatures on the field. Well, despite the fact that that has nothing to do with race, and that is literally the color of the cards, right? Like, and the whole theming of Magic is the white cards are generally more like holy on the mystic side, and then the black cards are monsters and slugs and poison and all that stuff. So it makes all got him. Damn it, I didn't even notice it. I was on a different window because I needed the light. But so where did I cut off?
I don't know. I was monsters. Black people are monsters.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly right? That is what I said. Yes. Throw it down. The black people are monsters. Quote, throw it on the box.
That's clearly what they meant, though, from the same people that brought you black people are orcs. How about that?
It's
right. Wasn't that great?
The black people are orcs. The chimps are black. There's a race called the Hazodi, and they're literally just like intelligent chimps, right? Like they're not humans or anything. They're just apes, like just apes that are cool, and they're pirates. And one, like in their backstory, an element of their backstory is they were captured by a scientist, and they had experiments done on them, and he used some of them as slave labor. Well, when that module came out like 2 years ago, people lost their minds and went, what are you trying to say about slaves? Why are you trying to draw comparisons like that? And so they had to go in, and now they removed that entire bit of lore from their backstory. The Hazodi were never slaves anymore. They were just misunderstood. And then out of nowhere, they learned how to use technology. Doesn't no explanation, but at least nobody's getting their feelings hurt anymore. So there's there's that element, which is, nobody wants to support this anymore. Nobody wants to buy these products. I don't know anybody who's buying new Magic cards or new D&D books. The people I do know play Classic, or they use old books. Nobody is buying these products. When I go to card shops to play the One Piece card game and I look at all everything they have in stock, all the Magic stuff is still stacked on stacked on stacked. Pokemon stuff's gone. Lorcana stuff is gone. One Piece stuff, didn't even make it inside of the store, but Magic is definitely there all the time. So there's that element of it. But then the Wall Street side of it that I was touching upon a second ago, and then Cider made me laugh and I forgot about it. But a lot of Wall Street analysts have been pointing out that Hasbro has been overextending sort of their licensing, right? They're trying to get into so many different markets, and not all of them are paying off for them. And the main thing they highlighted, at least in the NBC, I think, in the NBC Money or whatever, their cover in their analysis of it, they were basically their main contention point was Magic the Gathering, because I'm sure you've all seen in recent months, years, I don't know how long it's been going on, but Magic has started doing like crossover cards with various franchises, right? We have, I know there's Street Fighter, there's Transformers, there's Lord of the Rings, obviously, with the race swap cards. They just did a Doctor Who set. They're coming out with a Clue set. Last year, they announced a collab with Marvel and with Final Fantasy. I think there's been a My Little Pony set. Like that, acquiring the licenses for all that is not cheap. And the fact that it's sort of the Marvel problem, right? They're overextending themselves, and none of that is really giving them they're not getting the returns they want. And over the years, if you go look at their earnings calls, every year it's, we're lower than last year. We're down by 10%. We're down by $1 billion in revenue. So everything is going wrong for them over at Wizards, over at Dungeons and Dragons. And again, I'm not surprised. I'm sure none of you are surprised, because like we were talking about, we've seen how they've been treating the game. They don't want, players who actually care about the lore. They want the wider audience, which means sanitizing everything. Remember, half species don't exist anymore because the entire concept is, quote, inherently racist. My existence to Wizards is not like, I don't count because I'm not either full white in the enemy, I guess, or a full Asian, and thus a good, proper ally. Like this, that's the brain rot. You have guys, the director of Magic the Gathering right now going on podcasts, the director of Dungeons and Dragons development going on podcasts going, I want to see white men out of this industry. I'm so happy when I don't see white men get hired, like myself. We need to go, right? Like that sort of self-serving, just like rhetoric. That's what Dungeons and Dragons is now. We have wheelchair accessible dungeons. That is an official thing that they made. You can go buy official Hasbro, if you're doing like the what do you call it, like the play arena, like with miniatures. The miniatures. Thank you, Cider. That's exactly it. If you want to go buy miniatures, you can buy wheelchair ramp miniatures. You can buy miniature adventures with wheelchairs. Like that's where this has gotten. Like that.
You serious?
Oh, I'm 100% serious. Don't you know that when the ancient evils were constructing their lairs, the most important thing to them was making sure everything was wheelchair accessible? Don't you know they want the heroes to come and kill them, and they wouldn't just stop them with like a high ledge,
a staircase?
Like it's so a rock even. You just need some rocky terrain, and your wheelchair is not going to be able to go over it. You know why? Because the wheelchairs in D&D are just the like cart, like the wood cart wheels that they always show in like medieval cartoons. I've seen the miniatures. It's the most ridiculous stuff in the entire world.
So like, you know what a lich is, right? You know what a lich is?
Yeah.
So there's the lich. Yes. You can come in here, great knight. You can, but the thing is, great knight, in order to enter my final chamber, you must enter the doorway that is exactly 1/4 millimeter less wide than your wheelchair.
No!
Yes,
Then
that's
I gotta
right.
do
You're going to
math.
skin your knuckles coming through the door.
Whoa. Excuse me, wizards. When I was younger, I had a very traumatic experience where I skinned my knuckle on the day my dad told me I was a disappointment to him. So I need you to take that out of the game.
See,
All
right?
Mhm.
Yep. What was
So,
that, Jacob?
yeah, what are you saying, bud?
Oh, so now you're asking me to do math. I'm already out.
Yeah, right.
Oh
Just
gosh, I'm not gonna lie. When stories come across my desk and it's like number analysis stuff, I have to do a moment of like, all right, grade school, don't fail me now. Like I don't remember any math.
Can I just
Where
take
was
this out of the article entirely and hope they don't realize it?
yeah. Like, no, it did fine. It did terrible. Trust me, bro. Go look at the number. I'll just link the numbers. Like, go look at the numbers. They have everything you need to know. And then yeah, Timon brings it up. Don't forget prom D&D. Right, they released an entire module that was just, do you want to role play at prom? Because again, this is sort of a minor tangent, but because you brought up the idea of like prom and stuff, and we're talking about the weirdos who currently control everything, this prom stuff is just more evidence, at least in my opinion, to my whole theory that all of these people are just they're in arrested development, that they're still children that never grew up out of high school. Because yes, I know that, not going to a dance sucks. I didn't go to a couple of my dances while I was in high school. I ended up going to some. It wasn't that big of a deal. I know friends still who didn't go and they don't care. Nobody is sitting here 30 years later going, I can't believe I didn't go to prom. I need to go to prom. Why didn't I get my prom moment? And then forcing it on everybody else. Like that's where this all comes from, guys, right? They want validation.
It's called growing up. Like
no,
after a while, like after like 15 years, you can't hold that resentment of Timmy from like from junior year, because it's like, dude, I'm like 30 now. It's like, why do I care? It's like,
well, and that's what I'm saying, right? Like how many, I know I don't have any specifics off the top of my head, but I know all of us here have read interviews with celebrities where they're like, or celebrities, developers, anybody in charge of our entertainment, where they go, oh yeah, like back in the day, it was so awful for me to try and play Dungeons and Dragons. It was so sexist. It was so awful. We need to change all of it. And it's just like, first of all, yes, that was 30 years ago. You were a kid. Second of all, I bet the person making fun of you was also a child. I'm supposed to, like, why are we basing our society on the interactions of children,
grave,
right?
Yo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, it's like just nobody understands that children are allowed to be children anymore. And I think that that's a bigger discussion with the social media age and the whole drag queen shows and all that. Like there's a bigger conversation there. But like look at the recent Avatar The Last Airbender news, right? With Sokka. They said, oh, we're gonna take Sokka's sexism out of his character because that's offensive. And it's like, do you guys remember being 12? Do you remember what it is like to talk to an actual 10-year-old who isn't, on Twitter all day getting brain poisoned by bread tubers? They're innocent, but they can say some of the meanest, cruelest stuff by accident or not on purpose. Like they don't know. I remember my family is friends with a war veteran from the Gulf War, and he doesn't have one of his legs. And when my little cousin was, 5 or 6, they were going to church. They were going to the Christmas church service, and afterwards, my uncle and his wife are talking to all of his friends, and the guy's there, and his son runs up to him and he goes, why are you sitting down? And he goes, well, because I don't have I don't have my leg. And my cousin goes, why don't you have a leg? And he goes, well, I got in an accident while I was working and they had to take it off. And he goes, that sucks. Look what I can do. And he jumps up and just starts running away. And it's like, wow, dick move, but he's 6. He doesn't know.
Exactly.
He's just trying to be like, oh, okay, next part of the conversation, I want to show off what I can do. He's not trying to make the guy feel lesser. He's just moving on.
Like all of a sudden, it's like the guy in the wheelchair just starts training not profusely for the next 6 years, so he gets that rematch when the guy's 12.
Not even that would be more respectable than what happens now, which is that guy would fume, go and find out what my cousin really liked. What does he even like? Let's say he loves Fortnite, right? I'm going to be a Fortnite developer, and I'm going to make sure that he doesn't like it. I'm going to make this game what I want to play, and I'm going to make sure he's upset about the changes. Like, that's where we're at now. It's grudge holding. It's the fact that teenagers are on Twitter and being treated as like, you know, what's the right term here? I don't want to say like valid humans, because they are, but like, we shouldn't be listening to their opinions. Teenagers are stupid. But the fact that we are listening to their opinions and they have so much freaking sway on our media.
Kid.
Huh?
That David Hogg kid.
David Hogg is the worst.
Hey,
person.
people who I knew got shot in the building across the street from me. I'm now a guns expert.
Yeah, I'm a guns expert. Hey, Harvard, can I come in for free? Oh, thank you. Like, I hate David Hogg. I just want him gone. I think isn't there was that one girl who I think is like pro gun or something now. Like, isn't Emma Gonzalez or something? I maybe I'm completely off base, but I think Hogg's the last of the like that activist group, which is completely telling, because nobody wants to hear from them anymore.
No.
But yeah, like
not wanting to hear it from it anymore, right?
I think that the general populace doesn't want to hear from WB Games anymore. That's right, folks. It is time for probably the biggest story we're going to have this week. I know it's been you guys have been wanting in the chat, so here we are. Let's get into it. In case this will be our Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League of Palooza, because this game sucks. There's just no way around it. So, quick rewind. This is a game. Pardon me. This game is made by by Rocksteady Studios, who, if you guys have played video games in the last couple years, or you've been a fan of comic books in the last couple years, you'll know that this is the studio who was behind the incredible Arkham trilogy, right? Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, one of the best video games ever, and then the, not bad but not great Arkham Knight. So one of the best games, series, one of the, everybody praised how it handled Batman. Everybody praised just pretty much every aspect of it. So with that trilogy's conclusion back in, oh gosh, what was it? Let me look that up. Let's see. Gotham Knight date. I don't even remember anymore.
2019, right?
No, no.
It was Arkham
Knight, right?
Right, Arkham Knight.
Because I just hit enter and it gave me that awful Gotham Knights game, and I was like, that's not right. That's not it. The year was 2015. So that's when I know. I don't like that. It's so long ago. I feel like I was just playing it like last summer. I don't like time. Time sucks. Time is fake, so I don't respect time anymore. But so this trilogy, everybody loved it. It comes to an end in 2015. Everybody goes, we are so excited for what Rocksteady is going to do next. They tease, we're doing another DC game. We're not going to tell you what, but it's going to continue the Arkham universe, and you're going to love it. We'll see you soon. Couple years go by. Couple more years go by. We learned that the title is not going to be, a lot of people thought it was going to be a Superman game, because that's sort of what they were hinting. There were a lot of leaks to that. But when we finally got the first trailer last year, like the first real proper trailer, it turned out the game was a Suicide Squad focused game. And it's just the epitome of what's wrong with modern video games today, right? You have you pay full price for this game. It's got microtransactions for everything from skin, like gun skins, to character colors, to item colors, to NPC outfits. It has all of the worst sort of gameplay mechanics. The protect this spot for 10 minutes, shoot this many enemies, rinse, repeat. That's all we're going to have you do. And of course, as if, this is the part that everybody knows, but it's probably the least surprising, it is filled to the brim with MCU level dialogue. Like, I am not joking. So last night, while I was working on bounding stuff, I was like, I need some background noise. Barroom podcast is over. What am I going to do? I went, oh, you know what? And I was writing the article that we're looking at right now. And in that moment, I realized that I had left the Suicide Squad cutscene movie that I was looking at on. And so I went, okay, I'll just let it play. Whatever, at the very beginning of the game, I'll just see what it's got to offer. No big deal. Big deal. Like, everybody is the worst kind of MCU humor. Everybody follows up, like they end all the serious moments with, you know, a joke. Here's an example, and this is I'm going all the way to the very end of the game because I'm still not over this. So, quick spoiler alert for Killer or Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. If you really care about giving, you know, Warner Brothers 70 of your hard-earned dollars to be miserable, there was your warning. I'm gonna get into it right now. But at the very end of the game, when the Suicide Squad beats Brainiac, there's this whole big, you know, giant fight. Brainiac is cycling through and channeling all the Justice League's powers, and they finally beat him. And they have this like device that sort of is like the like Superman's Candor, where it like shrinks you down and you can basically, it's like a Pokeball. And so they put Brainiac in the Pokeball and they're like, all right, look at that. Like, we did it. And they're having that moment. And all of a sudden King Shark walks in and he grabs it and he goes, now is the time for the eating, then the pooping. Like, and it's just like, why, what was this? Like, why did we even need that? Right? Like, that's where we're at. King Shark's entire character. Do you like Batista's Drax? Well, guess what? That's exactly what King Shark is through the entire. I am serious. It is the exact same. Like what was it? There's a moment where they're confronting Green Lantern, and he's like, do you not remember what I told you last time? And King Shark goes like, you must repeat again because this group is very bad at following directions, or what? Like a very Drax line, right? Like, it's so bad, and that's what's hitting you throughout. Every single moment has one of these stupid little things, and it just it's not even offensive, it's just annoying, especially when we've all had a friend like this, right? Especially back in like high school, you had a friend who maybe he heard like a catchphrase on TV and he thought it's the funniest thing in the world, or like a saying, and he starts saying it all the time, right? And you know, I don't have like the one I'm just going to use off the top of my head for an example is, let's say it's Bazinga from Big Bang Theory. You know, so you're going to the movies and you know that, you know, he goes, what are we going to watch? And you go, yada, yada, you know, he's going to go Bazinga. Hey, where are we going to go for lunch today? Jack in the Box, Bazinga. Like, and he keeps doing it so much that, you know, it's coming and you also are sick of it. Cause you're like,
dreading it.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I really want to say like,
don't say it, don't say it, and then they say it,
and just like, and you're just like, and then it's like getting to the point where you're like, you know, I don't want to invite you around my other friends because we all are just getting tired. Like, you need to stop, buddy.
Around me or for me.
Places, Bazinga places, like that. That is what the entire game is. You just know that the second you hit a trigger or a cutscene is coming, something annoying is going to happen.
By the way, the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie was only better by like default. Like, it wasn't a good movie.
Yes, thank you. It's only good because it was
better than the shittier one that came out 4 years before it. And that's
that's really, you really didn't. That's such a low bar. Pretty much anything Gunn could have done, as long as it didn't do Deadshot Bruce Willis or Deadshot Will Smith, would have been fine, right? Like, I'm 100% with you there. But so, yeah, like in this game, everything comes up with a quip. There are just so many dumb moments where even Brainiac quips. Like, it's so there's a moment at the end when they beat Superman, who's the last boss fight before Brainiac, and the squad's just like, oh my god, like, we did it, oh man, and they go to like high five. And to be fair, it's not like that annoying. Their actions aren't that annoying because it feels kind of like, yeah, you just won the game or whatever. But then they get frozen and Brainiac like descends down. He's using his telekinesis and he's just like, celebrating before the game's over, huh? As always, as expected of humans. But you'll never, like, why do you still exist? Oh, you're the X factor. You're the margin of error. Such small, like, it's just like, stop. This is so generic and boring. Like, why are we doing this?
Who do you think is more responsible for this? Josh Whedon or who's the other hack? I guess Kevin, you can throw James Gunn in there, but there's another dude I can't think of off the top of my head. Who just like killed dialogue for like pretty much every movie or television show for like several years.
I know who you're talking about. Is it Damon
Lindelof?
Which one? No, it's not those.
Chuck Lorre?
That's the Two and a
That's
Half
the
Men guy.
CBS guy. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's a CBS guy.
Yeah,
There's
I don't know
David
why I'm
Lindelof,
blanking on this dude.
the guy
I
who
don't know
did
why.
Watchmen, but I don't think that's him either. He's just a bad writer.
Alan Moore, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, Jacob. I honestly blame. I think I'm gonna have to blame James Gunn for the simple reason that, to at least as if I were to posit like a theory, I think that all of this sort of leaning into every character being a jokester really started with his Guardians of the Galaxy. Because, like, yes, you had Whedon and he was, he did Buffy and he did Firefly, and a lot of that like quippy behavior came from there, and it's there, and obviously it's in his Avengers movie. But with Guardians, that was like you're taking a bunch of characters that nobody knows and making them all goofy, and everybody loved it. Like, Guardians was such a hit that even to this day, people are still trying to recreate it, right? And so that to me is, they went, oh, people sort of like this quippy little thing. You can go crazy with it, James Gunn. It worked for James Gunn and brought a bunch of obscure characters into like the mainstream. And so now everybody goes, that's what people want. They really want all these quips. There was a you guys know that show Masters of the Air, I think, or Masters of the Pacific. Which one is it? The Band of Brothers one that they're doing right now about the plane squadron in the Pacific. You know what I'm talking about?
No idea.
Well, you know what Band of Brothers is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the like World War II, the incredible show, one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing a they're doing a new show about the airmen in World War II in the Pacific Theater, and Ars Technica did a review, and the reviewer, and I'm not even kidding, the reviewers gave it a low score because he was like, this is too serious. Where are all the self-winking nods to the camera? Where are all the like cheeky elbow nudges to say that we know that this is all, not okay by modern standards? Why is it just 2 hours of airplane men being stoic and fighting? And it's just like, you're a moron. That's literally what everybody wants. You just have the attention span of a 4-year-old, and you're forcing it upon all of us. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a huge victim of just everything wrong with modern media today. If you have a complaint about modern media, it is here. You hate girl boss feminism? Welcome to Harley Quinn, who literally just girl bosses her way through everything, quips at everything, writes off everything. There is a scene where Deadshot is he was like about to take a shot, and he gets frozen by, I think it's the Flash, he runs and absorbs the speed or whatever. And so then Harley is like, whoa, what do I do? Like, do I save him? And Amanda Waller's yelling, do not touch him. Like, we don't know what the effects are going to be. It could ruin you and the squad. Like, hold for support. And Harley goes, how could I pass up this opportunity though? And she's looking at Deadshot's ass, and she's like, how could I pass this up? And then she goes and she grabs it and squeezes it and like has this big smile. And then they like teleport away, and they're taken to like the Flash boss fight or whatever. But like, there's your double standard. There's your girl boss feminism. Do you hate, constant winks to the camera? Well, guess what? Captain Boomerang only does that. You have Deborah Wilson, who's in everything, and I need her to go away. I'm so tired of Deborah Wilson, but she's your Amanda Waller. She's right there. I know. I don't know why. Like, she's from Mad TV. That's not that wasn't a good show. I don't know how she's
cheap.
I honestly, yeah, now that you put it that way, now I'm like, okay, I get it. she's cheap black lady representation. Just get her on the horn, right? So before we get into the meat of how bad this game is, let me rephrase that. So yes, this game is full of all these awful moments. There's another dumb moment that I haven't seen a lot of people highlighting, but after they beat Green Lantern, after they kill Green Lantern, and they cut off his finger, and Captain Boomerang is like trying to remove his ring. And first of all, what pisses me off about this is that that's not how Green Lantern rings work. When a lantern dies, it's supposed to either fly back to Oa for reassignment, or automatically just go seek out the next person who's closest, who is worthy. It's not just a piece of jewelry that sits there. But because they treat it like that, there's a scene where King Shark picks up the ring, puts it on,
Right.
and becomes a Green Lantern. And he's able to summon a giant green shark towards Brainiac's ship, and it doesn't work. But then when it fails, he starts getting corrupted by the Green Lantern ring. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, he starts like struggling, and he's like, what do I do? I don't know. And the squad's just like, well, we got to save him, which is like, I don't know what the hell this is. Like, what are we doing here? And then when they finally get it off of his finger, it just falls into the bay. And that's it. It doesn't fly away. They don't send King Shark, who can just like walk through water, to go retrieve the most powerful weapon in the world. They just let it drop. Yeah, it makes zero sense. Like, it's the dumbest crap I've seen in a long time. But none of that takes the cake compared to what happens to the Dark Knight himself. So, as you guys might have seen when we reported on it like 2 months ago when the leaks happened, or if you've been catching any footage or discourse that's been going around the internet right now, obviously the game, true to its name, has the Suicide Squad kill all the Justice League members, which in and of itself I think is really stupid. Like, it's the Justice League. You don't really
being
like
killed by the Suicide Squad. Like,
right.
That's probably the dumbest part of it. It's like, if you're gonna kill the Justice League, the Suicide Squad's not the team you send to kill them. It's like,
well, that's why I was always bothered about that in the David Ayer Suicide Squad movie, because it's like the whole premise was Amanda Waller's meeting with the government, and she's like, we need something to take down Superman. And it's like, so you get a guy with guns, a guy with boomerangs, and a chick with a hammer to kill Superman? All right, so you lose. Like why are we even playing the game? Just forfeit like immediately. Like, there's no sense to any of this.
Well, they gave them
yes.
super upgrades or something like that in order to do this, because Captain Boomerang is moving at an accelerated rate of speed, and
so that's how the
using some type
so
of
that's
bullets.
An element. Yeah, I should probably talk about that. So obviously, if you guys have played Arkham, you'll know that one of the coolest features about it is the traversal mechanics, right? Where you can grapple up with your with the bat hook shot, glide over the city, dive down, maybe pop back up. You can perch on a roof, and then you can swing over there. Like, it's very cool. It makes you, for lack of a better phrase, it makes you feel like Batman. Well, in the Suicide Squad game, they needed to make sure that all 4 of the characters played exactly the same, because, you know, it's a multiplayer game. Everybody's got to be equal. So every character gets a traversal mechanic and a sort of special weapon. And they do it by breaking into the Hall of Justice. And so Deadshot gets a jetpack. Harley Quinn steals a bat grappling gun and a bat glider, so that she like sends it out, ropes to it, and then like swings on it. And then Captain Boomerang has a Speed Force gauntlet that just, you know, you throw a boomerang and then you can like warp immediately to it. It's all variants on the same thing, which is essentially aim your reticle over here, push A, your character will now pretty much go there on their own, right? And so that's where they get all these sort of special powers to be able to kill them all. It still doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't work. For all the I can explain everything about like that I learned in those opening credits, and none of it explains why these guys are able to kill the Suicide Squad. Like, you have a gauntlet that lets one of you access the Speed Force, and that lets you all take on the Flash. Get out of my face. Like, does not make any sense whatsoever. Yeah. So yeah, they eventually they kill the Justice League. All of their deaths are pretty stupid. Obviously, I just went through the Green Lantern one, but the one that takes the cake is Batman. So obviously, at the beginning of the game and throughout, it's, you know, probably for a good chunk of it, Batman is obviously controlled by Brainiac, and he's being mind controlled, and yada 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 yada. So he becomes a target of the Suicide Squad. When they eventually come to fight him, not only do they beat him, but after beating him, they're being instructed by Waller to bring him back to base alive. But they eventually decide, like, this is too much trouble. He's going to, you know, just kick our asses again. So there's this scene where Batman is sort of sitting on they put Batman on a bench, and he's like all sort of woozy, knocked out, like, yeah, I've been defeated, blah, blah, blah. and he starts doing this very like the thing where it's like, oh, I know, like, you're not heroes. I know who you all are. Like, you Captain Boomerang, you're a beat dad. Or no, Captain Boomerang, you're an alcoholic who wants attention. Deadshot, you're a deadbeat dad. And then Harley interrupts him and goes, yeah. And King Shark will never be a real boy, and I'm crazy or whatever. And then she gives a stupid, like, what is it? She's like, oh, you heroes had your chance. Now it's time for the bad guys to save the world. And then she just, boom, blows away Batman. Like, one shot to the face, and that is the end of the Arkhamverse Batman, right? Which is, again, makes no sense, completely stupid. I wrote in the article, there's nowhere on Earth should this have ever been approved, right? If you're going to have Batman die, you don't have him put down with less respect than Old Yeller. You have him go out in a fight. You have him self-sacrifice if you have to. You don't have him lose to Harley, of all people. Like, that's what I mean by the girl bossing. It's so prominent. Like, it has to be Harley. Now, as a lot of you guys in the chat are pointing out, do they kill Superman with kryptonite? No, they do. They do the generic video game thing where it's like Lex and Waller come up with like a synthetic drug, and you inject him with it, and it takes a couple of minutes for it to work, but then it brings down his like defenses. It's really dumb. Again, you can't have these characters go up against Superman. It just doesn't work, especially in a video game sense, right? Because with Superman, it's either kryptonite knocks him out and he's done, or you're toast. There's really no in between.
Or he's going to punch you into the sun.
Right, that's what. Yeah, like there's no surviving any of this. Even if he gets kryptonited, I'm sure he could still slap you away. So, yeah, and there's also you guys will also see lots of screenshots probably going around. One plot point is that like yellow kryptonite is able to block him from like seeing them. It's really weird. So they end up like taping a bunch of yellow kryptonite all over their gear or whatever. Oh, I didn't even mention the game straight up has one of those like Suicide Squad. Like, okay, so in the beginning, you go through the tutorial and eventually, Waller recruits everybody and she gives you all of your gear or whatever. And there's a cutscene where it's like, all right, squad, gear up, get ready to go. And so then it cuts through this cutscene and it's all four of them. They're doing like a hero, like 80s walk, right? And, I rolled my eyes because I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, you're trying too hard. Like, you're trying too hard to be funny. So they do like the slow-mo walk, and they're all being like, oh, buddy pals, and like slapping each other on the face and like cocking their guns. And then like right at the last second, a can hits them. Like somebody throws a can at Harley and they just go, hey, Suicide Squad, F you. And that's how the cutscene ends. Like, that's the MCU-ness I'm talking about. Like, you try too hard to be funny, and then you try too hard on top of trying too hard, to the point where it's just like, this is not funny. Like, it's just, yeah, it's really, 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 really bad. But, so, with the death of Batman, and it's also really disrespectful, there are multiple, like, tributes in-game to Kevin Conroy, who voices this iteration of Batman like he's done throughout the entire Arkham series. There's like, we love you, Kevin. There's a plaque in the Hall of Justice at the very end of the game. When the credits wrap, it says, we love you, Kevin. There's a cutscene at the very end that I feel like this has to have been like added in post, like after Kevin died, because it's all the ending credits roll, or like the ending cutscene rolls, yada yada. Then there's a single news brief read by like Lois Lane where Batman's on, like a image of Batman is on the screen, and she kind of goes like, and yes, the reports are true. The world has lost Batman. He's, died against Brainiac. The world's lost one of the world's best, yada, yada, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what? You also lost the Flash. You also lost Green Lantern. You also lost Superman. You also lost like everybody. Why are we only highlighting Batman? Because you guys are super desperate here to, I don't know. It's just super weird because, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we have Volume Dealer here who was here a little earlier, and he said Batman died a brutal death in Red Sun animated, and no one pitched a fit. Well,
correct.
The thing I want to immediately just point out about Red Sun Batman is that that character is fighting against a tyrannical Superman who has consumed the world in a fluffy but iron gripped communism. And so, which Brainiac is sort of micromanaging in the background. So Batman is resisting tyranny in that iteration. In this one, he is a dog. He is
Yes.
shot like a dog, mouthing off like a villain. And in what universe, right, is Captain Boomerang less likely to be brainwashed by Brainiac than Batman? Okay?
This one
That's
apparently,
where it's insulting. That's where it's insulting. That's all.
like, that's the insulting part, and it's also like I saw that comment earlier, Volume Dealer, and
Batman.
my take
Red
on it
Bat.
is it's there's like I agree with Cider 100%, but I also view like at least that like two side. I'm building on Cider's point. I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to override him, but like building on Cider's point, that Batman, because of that environment he's in and that setting, that ending worked sort of true to his character, right? Like, I'm not going to back down. You're going to have to kill me. This is it. In Suicide Squad, he's not in character. There's no respect given to who he is, what he does. Like Jacob said, there's no world where these four idiots get Batman, especially the Batman we've seen go up against Titan fused Joker and Scarecrow and Azrael, who literally is just like a demon from the underworld. Like, it doesn't make any sense, and it just feels that so there's an example of bad writing of this strain of bad writing that I'm trying to relay to you guys is remember Superior Spider-Man when they had Octopus in Doc Ock and Peter's head? During that storyline, Peter's friends with psychics, he's friends with mystics, he's friends with the most intelligent inventors in the entire world, and yet at no point does anybody go, we need to check you out. Nobody goes, hey, you need to sit down and let's talk. Right. They all just go, wow, isn't Spider-Man a dick today? Wow, what a jerk. We hate him now.
When did Spider-Man get a German accent?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And he has one too. That's a big plot point. And they just write it off as him being like dumb. But so like that level of ignoring how things are supposed to be, like ignoring the rules of your world, that level of writing is always that always signals that you don't know what you're doing, that you just want your big set piece, you want your moment, and you don't really care how you get there. And that's what happened with Kevin Conroy getting blasted in the face. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that we do have Taylor Swift AI. Speaking of getting blasted in the face.
Yeah, right. Like so in case you guys didn't know what we were talking about at the top of the show, last week over the weekend, sometime in that time frame, the guy's actual like account name, but a Twitter user generated some AI pornography of Miss Swift. And now, we've all played with AI. We all know it exists. We all know that this is not new. I guarantee you that the second somebody got access to DALL-E Mini back like last year, the first thing they put in was some variant of Taylor Swift nude, Beyonce nude, something, right? Like that's how
Who would
humans
ever
are.
do a thing like that?
None of us, nobody on this panel, lawyers. But immediately after this guy posted them and they got pretty popular, they got a lot of attention. People were spreading them, laughing. Swift's like iron grip came down. This is what I was talking about, where she's so powerful. Not only she went, absolutely not. Like, I don't want this. So her lawyers, after that declaration, they were able to get the post removed, like from Twitter. They were able to what was the other thing? They shut down like the search term for her. Like you couldn't Google search her.
You can't
actually
search it on Twitter.
If you try to search Taylor Swift AI right now, it's still blocked. You still can't search it.
Right.
Yep, I just did it right now. Yep.
And so like that's completely locked down, cannot see anything. And you have I I'm not going to say a lot of them, but I think like 2 or 3 U.S. congressmen and women coming out being like, "Oh, this is offensive. We need to take steps against AI now that Taylor Swift is being."
Even the press secretary come out and say something about this too?
Yeah, but she talks about everything and she has no idea what she's talking about. I saw what's her name, like Pierre or whatever. Like I stopped listening to her forever ago.
So literally one Muslim Canadian who posts pictures and videos of white women all day in his Twitter account caused quite literally an international instant by posting like 2 pictures of like Taylor Swift AI.
That's what I mean. Like he's got to go to like what is that North Sentinel Island now. Like it's the only place he's going to be safe from Taylor Swift's legal team.
Yeah, because they're trying to send him to Gitmo right now. Like, unironically trying to send him to
they're gonna go. Whatever's above Gitmo, we all know there's something above Gitmo. Like that's where they're gonna send him. Like he's gone. He doesn't exist.
Gonna be on like some CIA black site from like Budapest or something like that.
Yeah, that's exact. Like Marvel comic style level of like secret bunker under the mountain, like black site. Like that's where they're gonna shove this guy.
Yeah, and
really, it's just like. My whole thing with it is that's too much power, man. Like, how does she have that much power? Why did we give her that much power? And then Jacob, you're gonna love this. I was writing another article today, and I was looking at whatever the source was, and on the side they had coverage that was like Bayhive strikes back at like Stephen A. Smith after Smith declares Beyonce doesn't move numbers like Taylor does, and I'm like, oh. We're forget the West Coast Midwest Civil War, forget the left right Civil War, forget all of that Civil War. It is like, no, Civil War is going to be General Swift and General Beyonce.
Yes, it's going to be obsessive black Beyonce fans versus obsessive white Taylor Swift fans, and no one is going to win. We're all going to lose as a society.
What is that big battle from the Civil War that like it's like one of the big ones that started it, where everybody came out to like watch it on the lawn or whatever. Like
I don't know if it's going
to be like that.
It's certainly going to turn into Hamburger Hill very soon here. That's what it is. I mean, like. But this is the thing, though. This is why the whole narrative is going out there. Is like, this Taylor Swift actually work for the CIA? Because she's just like everywhere, and it seems like she just has all this control over everything. Because we haven't even like talked about like any of like the Super Bowl stuff and the NFL stuff associated with her. Because that's also like another like there's like 4 consecutive like major stories all involving Taylor Swift, and none of them are related to one another. But this is how much she's just taking over national discourse right now, right?
I am firmly of the belief that, like, one, obviously the Kelsey Swift relationship is completely fabricated. 2, so is the Chiefs win. Like, if you like, there is a script writer for sure. I am more positive than ever because, of course, they had to go, right. Like, of course, it's going to be Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl.
I told you this, I've mentioned this in our chat a couple of times, but I mean, people are going to start to realize this is going to be reality. In about a week and a half, when the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, because the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, you're going to get a picture of Taylor Swift hugging the Lombardi trophy like Michael Jordan after he won his first championship against the Lakers in '91. She's going to be crying. It's going to be like champagne being poured over her head. It's going to be the exact same. It's going to happen. All
the front page photos are going to be that photo of her, and you're going to like see in the background like Patrick Mahomes' hand like trying to reach for it. Like, I did that. And then they'll have to like put an arrow, like a YouTube thumbnail, be like, that's him. There's your quarterback. Oh yeah, like that's gonna happen. All the marketing, it's just gear up, folks. Like, that's like 2 weeks away, and that's only the beginning of the year. We still have an entire crazy 2024 to go. What I ask is like, here's where I'm left. What can we do? What can we do against the encroaching power of the Swifties, against her incoming rule? I ask because I think there's only one solution.
I don't know.
You ready?
Whenever you're ready. Save us!
I am the Swift. You will not defeat me that easily.
I didn't see the end
now
part,
this has
but
turned into a Digimon battle. So now we
it's
have
a
to get
Digimon
like
battle. But it's true, folks. We don't have the power here yet at 0-1 to take down the demon that is Taylor Swift. The only way we can do that is if you guys keep watching us every single week and tuning in and hanging out, because we need to take her down. Otherwise, we're going to, I don't know, like 1989 Gitmo. She'll probably theme it or something. Travis Kelce will be in charge, or John Mayer, one of them. And we're here to look out for you guys.
can't wait for
Taylor
that
Swift
Swift
versus
Obama ticket.
Comics. Swift Obama, it's coming. Nah, man, it'll be Swift Harris. Let's be real. We got to keep it going.
Nobody likes Kamala Harris. Like that's the one thing that we're not. That's the one psyop that no one's even pretending to be legitimate anymore. Like nobody likes Kamala Harris. It's just the fact of life.
Joe, we did it, Joe.
Like she's only the vice president so that nobody tries to assassinate Biden. Like that's really the only reason why she's around.
Yeah, that's actually Oh, and yes, thank you, Hates Me in HD. That was Shannon Sharp. That wasn't Stephen Smith. It was Shannon Sharp. Where was the other one I wanted to highlight before we said? Oh yeah, it's right here. Hates Me in HD says headlines will be Taylor hugs trophy. Oh, and yeah, then the Chiefs won. I saw. I will give credit. Credit where credit is due. It made me laugh. A local news affiliate in Kansas City, when the Chiefs won, they ran the headline that was like Taylor Swift is going to the Super Bowl, and then it was like they put like in the same tweet like we're sorry for the like blatant clickbait. But I was like, all right, like can't be mad. You guys at least are conscious of what you're doing.
I would have been like, no, Taylor Swift is in fact going to the Super Bowl. If they just went like full troll, like didn't even like
like no, down. She's the reason. She's taking the field.
Yeah,
right. She's like AI image her in that
oh my god
uniform,
yes! Yes, oh my god,
polish and stuff, right? Taylor Swift is going to be in the Super Bowl.
Do you know what's even worse than her holding the Lombardi Trophy is that next year when August comes around and the Chiefs are playing their first home game, the ceremony, they literally give her a championship ring. She'll get a ring with the rest of the
She's going to.
You know what's going to happen?
Like she's going to.
Right, they're going to start leaning into this and start making commercials of her playing the game, right? So you're going to have like Taylor Swift putting on the helmet and then Power Rangers style, like tackling these giant linebackers, and they're going to jump out of the way like, oh, Taylor Swift is so powerful.
Like a Toku show, yeah.
Exactly, yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Teeny tiny little Taylor Swift, like, pile driving the Brock Lesnar into the ground or whoever's
like you made me fear too that like they're definitely going to do that. Like I am with you there, but then I also fear knowing Hollywood and how they love running things into the ground, like that friend we were talking about earlier. Like I can see you get that commercial, then you get an SNL skit about it when she's hosting the show, then you get it in a music video where Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes make a cameo, and every time that happens, everything, like all the news and all the headlines is just going to be circling around that. And it's just going to be like,
disappointed.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Brought to you by Pfizer, brought to you by Bud Light, brought to you by all of them. Brought to you by Hasbro. I've got my 19th. All right. I have my 19th Pfizer, my 7th Moderna. I don't remember any of the other brands because I don't touch the stuff, man. I don't touch it. I would never get high on your own supply. But yeah, with that, I think that is a great place for us to wrap it tonight before the Swift Army comes for our heads. So as always, guys, I want to thank every single person who showed up to hang out with us tonight. DZ3, Veritas, Hey It's Me in HD, Eccentric Banana. I know YouTube Me was here, Leslie Tarkin for a little bit, so many more people. Meteor Advocate Timon was here. I know I'm missing a bunch of you, but don't worry, I see you all. It means the world to me every time I see your name pop up in our chat. And yeah, guys, like I'm really thankful that you guys decided to spend your Wednesday nights with us. With that said, we're gonna go around the horn, let the guys let you know what they've got going on outside of the YouTube channel, starting with Jacob.
So I got some reviews coming up here soon. I know we're doing Argyle this Friday night. We're gonna be reviewing that film. I think there might be another one on there too, but I don't have my schedule up on me, so I don't know off the top of my head. But I'm pretty sure there'll be a couple more. We take to last night we did a very good episode of the Barroom podcast with Lofty Pixels, so that one is up right now. Monday we'll be doing another episode of the Bible Lens podcast, and then Tuesday we'll be back doing episode 83 of the Barroom all over again. So
83, geez, we're moving on that. Also 85. Geez, even moving even faster.
Yeah.
So when I was out this weekend, Jacob, I started seeing like a bunch of posters and billboards for Argyle, and I like for 30 minutes after I saw the first like two, I was so confused, and I almost like called you physically, like on the phone, actual voice call, because I was like, I swear to God, he's already reviewed this movie. This is like this has already been done. Why like? What was the Taylor Swift movie from last year where she had like the cameo that you got, like you guys all, like you and Rob and Rick?
Amsterdam. That was it.
That's what it was.
Margot
That's
Robbie.
what I thought it. Yeah, I thought it was that movie, and I was like, what is happening? Am I in a time loop? Did I just miss something? And then like I had to go back and I figured it out, but it was still super weird to me.
We eventually got there.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, by the way, just a little plug there. Amsterdam is a terrible movie, but if you want to see Taylor Swift get run over and killed by a car, that is a movie that you can watch right now. So,
catharsis, it's there. Cider, what have you got going on?
Tomorrow night there will be the Sky Talker stream with Stephen Kent over here. Feel free to check that out, and as always, we have the daily video uploads right here on the channel. And that's what's up. Check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, Cider, as always, has been killing it with the videos. If you didn't check it out, Monday we had, or was it Monday or was it yesterday? Tuesday, we, our very own Mark Claire hosted an interview with the one and only Eric July, where they talked about his intro into the indie scene, what he thinks about the future of the medium, plans for the Rippaverse. Really cool to check out. I bring it up because Cider did an incredible job with its presentation, from the intro to the graphics to everything. So definitely check it out. It's a good time. We will obviously have articles covering it coming up very, very soon. With that, as for me, as always, check out boundingintocomics.com daily. We've got news stories going up all the time, especially between our editorial team. We've got a good rhythm going, so you'll likely never really be at a loss for something new to read if you refresh the page. That as always, you can join us right back here, same bat time, same bat channel next week for another episode of the 01 stream and another firing of our signature laser. If you want to see more of me, you can follow me on Twitter at Kabuto Writer Mav. You can also check me out on my own YouTube channel, Kabuto Studios. Click my name. I host a live stream every Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, where I break down or I go more in depth into some of the topics that we might not get into around the sphere. So video games, anime, tokusatsu, all that sort of fun stuff. No idea what we're going to talk about this week. Last week, I know some of my viewers are in the chat. I lost my voice last week, like immediately after the 01 stream. I went to bed, I woke up, couldn't talk. So that's why we didn't have a stream last week. I'm back in action now, as you can obviously tell. So that is full steam ahead. And yeah, that's what I've got going on until then. Oh, before we leave tonight, if in case you're looking for something to do after the stream, and you got an hour or two, The Marvels has just hit digital from your favorite retailers, whether it's Disney Plus, iTunes, Amazon. So check out the greatest film of the last 2 years.
Remember when Brie Larson was a thing? Those were good times.
No one remembers that.
No,
never happened.
Literally nobody remembers that at this point. Like she farted out her celebrity after Endgame. Didn't everybody show up to see her in Fast 10? Wasn't that so cool? Wasn't she such a draw?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. But yeah, with that, guys, I hope everyone out there has a good night. Take it easy, get some rest, and we will see you next week.
Later.